Lala Ellsworth.
I just really hope that everybody's not ready to have a serious podcast, but
No,
they're ready to
it
laugh.
can be serious. I'm very profound. I'm deep.
You're as deep as a puddle.
Why walk on ice when you can dance?
Dave hits him with my truck. My truck.
A big gust of wind hits us.
It was the closest I've ever been to crashing a helicopter by a long shot.
This helicopter was about to be our tomb.
I literally took an ass whooping from a guy I had never met, and then he told me he loved me and kissed me on the forehead.
This whole podcast is a side quest, man.
That was we're going to call this side quest for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hate it when we have to re-record the intro for the podcast, because generally when we get here and start hanging out with the guests and having a conversation, that's where some of the best stuff happens. It's also where some of the stuff that probably should never just see the light of day happens.
Get you canceled.
Yeah, so it's not. It's just real talk. And sometimes that doesn't go over well with people. So anyways, here we are with another episode of the Heavy Checklist. I have no idea what number we're on. I used to keep track, and I'm going to probably start again. Probably in the 30s.
No, I think it's close. It's got to be 40s now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Since we started in, 2018? December. It was like fall to 2018 maybe, right? Anyways, so we are back, and we have a special guest tonight, and his name is Lala Ellsworth.
Ellsworth.
Now, let me tell you something about Lala. Lala is
Look like an Ellsworth.
Lala's the best. Just in general, like if you want a dose of like everything good and you just want to laugh your balls off, Lala's your guy. He's really, really, really bright, like big energy. We love him. And, he's not even really good at anything. So it's not like we're interviewing
life skills.
about something like, that he's excelled at. That's actually not true, because he's a phenomenal tattoo artist. But Lala Ellsworth, you're here joining us. What have you been up to?
Man, I've been up in this bitch like a fetus.
That's how
Can we swear?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard Rob in here dropping F-bombs, man.
He's a bad guy.
I just don't think that was kind of like getting a squirt of mustard in the face when the.
Yeah, they weren't ready for that.
Yeah, man.
But I liked it. I like
Here's
mustard.
the one thing that everybody listening needs to understand. Lala has the best one-liners you'll ever hear.
I think Lala consists of just one-liners.
Yeah.
The good Lord just taps me on the beak, and I just, he's just like, talk to him, nephew. My God talks to me like he's Snoop Dogg. That's what he's like. Talk to him, Neff.
Do we have a camera on him?
I just really hope that everybody's not ready to have a serious podcast, but
No,
they're ready to
it
laugh.
can be serious. I'm very profound. I'm deep.
You're as deep as a puddle.
Like old puddle slut over here, huh? Old lady of the night, Heavy D. I caught this dude in the bathroom taking a bird bath, bro. He was in the kitchen sink getting cracking, boy.
So this is how this is going to go.
No, that was the last one. But I'm doing well. I'm doing
so
good. Thank you.
As you can tell, listeners, you're in for a treat, because Lala is just, as I was saying, a great guy, good time, and a longtime friend of Keaton's, right? How long have you known him?
Couple years.
About 10 years.
Yeah. And just to show how casual our friendship is, no preface, no like they didn't tell me what we're doing, they didn't say anything. I went to the wrong place, and Keith was like, "No, we're here," and I was like, "Man, this is how you treat your guys' guests."
He did just guess. He was at the shop.
I thought I came to help move shit.
Hold on, what? You guys met because you came to the shop?
No, he's talking about
No,
today.
talking about like right now.
He showed up at the shop for the podcast.
Yeah. So this makes way more sense. I thought that was talking about how you guys.
No. We met
Tattooing. Oh, yeah.
No.
So I think the original way that we met was over text, and he just hit me at like 1 a.m. He's like, "You up?"
You saw him because of his tattoos or what? You reached
No,
out?
yeah. A buddy of mine.
somebody said, "Hey, he's the one you're going to want to have do your artwork." And I started looking at his stuff, and I was like, he's progressively getting better.
Well, and the funny thing is that like I've been like an avid follower of you guys ever since so this is the new era of YouTube, but when you guys were doing YouTube stuff before like social media was really popping up, I was just
you're like a 2013 fan.
Oh yeah. And
bro, Lala
That's cool.
has an excursion on 12 inches with 40s.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty fitting for you, actually.
Yeah.
Well, and that one's man, did I tell you what happened to it?
No.
Dude, I took it to a guy that you guys know, and it's funny because Keaton was like, "We could have helped you build it," and I was like, "Nah, my buddy, he's got at the time his shop was like." No, he's an established guy. He was like, I don't know, his shop was up and coming. I go take my truck to him, and then because he's taking so long, I was like, hey, let me do some extra stuff. I went and got my frame powder coated, the axles powder coated. This is an 01 Excursion. Now she's sitting like a bad bitch. So I'm like, I'm doing all this extra stuff, and then like at the end of the day, which was like 2.5 years later, he's just like, oh man, had to close the doors. Come pick up your Excursion. I'm like, great, it's finished, right? And they brought it to my warehouse in pieces. Like my transmission. Dude, it's funny. I just moved
Do you
back.
know who this was?
Yeah.
You do.
I don't want to
know
drop
him?
his name.
Yep.
I want to drop his name, but
He's done some stuff for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
When did this happen?
We don't need to say his
Recently?
name.
it was
No, it's been the last 5 years.
So in the beginning of the pandemic, in like 2020.
Text it. Yeah.
Tell me we'll cut it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Text
yeah.
it.
Just
Text it.
just say it. We'll gut it out.
Cut this out. He says text it.
It's I can't say it.
Shit, text it.
I can't
So-
text.
Whomever it was just went titty up. Why can't you text?
Oh.
What do you mean you can't text?
Oh, whoops! I put it in the wrong.
Put it in our group. There you go. Put it in our group message.
Yeah, I know. I texted my son's school thread that I'm in. Sorry. They have
You're gonna want to say sorry in that thread too.
Then just put meat here.
I don't know if you guys know. I'm pretty sure you guys. Well, anyway, he
knows.
no, yeah, but he. So I go take it to
Salt
him.
Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go take my truck to him.
I'm trying to look him up. Hold on.
Oh, and that was the best part. There was a small oil leak out of the pedestal, like where the turbo sits at.
He built a motor for you, or for us,
Yeah.
a 6.0 motor.
So just up and vanished.
Well, he didn't up and vanish, but like
Things went bad.
he just kind of went bad on me. But he's a buddy of mine, so I kept like, oh yeah, you know.
Had you paid?
Oh, in full.
Yeah, in
up
cash.
front. Like
In
I was
cash.
like, yeah, I paid in full up front, which is like.
Ooh,
That's a no-no.
That's yeah.
But he's so this is the let me so
Let me
I-
guess. He told you he was going to give you the best deal possible, but in order to do that, he had to have cash, right? He was going to give you the homie deal.
Well, no, I was willing to do it. I just wanted it done. So he comes in, and I have a oil leak from where the pedestals, like the turbo sits on the pedestal. Just that. I go take it to him, and he's just like, "Oh, what have you done to this thing?" I was like, "Oh, I did this, this, and this, and like sound system upgrades and all this other stuff, like creature comfort things." And then he's like, "Bro, what else you want to do?" And I was like, "No, I just fixed the leak. That's really this thing's like pristine. I don't want to like." And then he's like, "No, we got to do a lift. We got to do." So I bought. I think at the time they were 28 by 16s. And then,
That's a
because
big
I'm a
wheel.
minority,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
of
what I
course.
mean? I
Yeah,
need
you
big
gotta tell
wheels. You know what I'm saying? So I had
what
that.
color I am?
Yeah.
I'm Samoan, Tongan.
I'm talking. Either way, we're all the same. No, but I go all out, and he puts a Kelderman. He orders me a Kelderman lift for it, and then there's just a bunch of things, and I think along the way he kind of forgot that like, oh, I sent you the original invoices from the company, so he was like, here's what it costs. I'm just going to hit you at cost. I'm going to eat all the labor because I just need a big badass build to come out of this shop. Long story short, after all the things and stuff, he brought my truck back in pieces. Like, and this is years after. And there were so many odd things along the way that I should have been like, man, I should not have my truck here. Like, I don't even want to like say it on the air because it's pretty terrible.
You know the worst part about this story though is that it's probably 1 in 3 dudes who build trucks.
It's more than 1 in 3.
It's literally a pandemic. Dude.
It's 1 in 10 that are legit shops.
Yeah.
1 in 10.
I'd
You
say
know how I know
maybe
that?
10% are
I'm
legit.
building 3 vehicles right now. All 3 of them, I've gone through 3 shops.
Yeah.
Didn't El Camino do that same thing too, where the guy
Oh,
took?
dude, that one got me put in jail.
Should we tell that story for a minute?
Have we told that before?
We've never told that story. This was the bonding of our friendship.
This was funny.
So we sent Diesel Dave's El Camino to a guy in Kansas. Same story.
Yeah.
This guy, I just want a badass build. I want to do this for you. I want to make it. It was a Duramax.
This was
right?
early in our business.
Was
when
it Duraback or was it Cummins?
Cummins? We were going to 12 valve it.
And 2 years later, 2 years, right?
Oh yeah,
And
2012. Yeah, so that was in 2014 or 15.
El Camino was
It would have
like
been 14 because that's when I had
It
my
was
6
Easter
door.
2014.
So Dave says, "Hey, bro, get your 6 door. You, me, and Diesel Dave are going to get this El Camino."
This shitbag, after he comes out and sells himself like really well to us, like he over delivered a ton in the beginning, which was a little bit of a red flag for me. But we were kind of new in business, didn't really like know what to expect or what kind of people were out there. Hadn't done a ton of business with people outside of the state of Utah, and so he kind of sold himself. But then, literally just the day after he left, I started finding out shit. People are like, You worked with Levi? Like, I'll say his name. He's a piece of shit. Levi Lang.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit.
I don't like him
He's
at
in
all.
jail now, I believe.
I believe so too.
So we go out there.
He's got an outlaw name.
Yeah.
that's
He
on
does,
that's
for
on a
sure.
wanted poster for
Yeah, well,
sure.
so
In a
he's in
saloon right now?
Kansas, and we
Hey, you guys are just dropping all.
yeah, we're dropping everything. That guy's a piece of shit. So we drive out there in my 6 door. Now,
Literally,
you-
they don't have bags packed or anything.
No,
Oh, you guys were hot. You guys
remember
were
my
you
first
guys
6
were-
door?
Yeah, that thing was dope.
It was dope. It was on like 12-inch lift with 40s. It was bad. So we drive out there. We show up at his shop, and there's no shop. It's like an old warehouse where there's just parts and pieces of vehicles. Well, Dave didn't tell him we were coming. So we're there at his shop. We see El Camino door, El Camino hood.
Don't forget, the shop was also his house.
Yeah.
And his mom's house, I think.
So no. That was later. His mom's house was later.
Where was the shop?
It was on Main Street. So we're there.
I blocked out that whole part of the trip.
Oh, I remember everything. We're there, and as we're walking out, he drives by. And Dave jumps in front of the car. Diesel Dave starts waving at him like he wants to fight. And I was like, oh, okay, we're balling. Here we
Diesel
go.
Dave wanted to
Diesel
fight?
Dave. Bro, Dave.
Let's not forget that we we found all this information on him through a small town local informant
That
who
had
reached out
told
to
us
us. And I can't tell you his name, but that he was very concerned about art. He's the one who tipped me off and said, "Hey man, here's what's going on
So,
with Levi."
dude, and the
So we meet him
informant,
there.
the informant has told us.
The informant's
he's-
bigger than you, by the way.
Yeah, he's a big dude. The informant says to us, hey, man, he's stripping all the parts off of the vehicles you're sending him, and he's selling them. That's what he says. And Dave sent him probably 20 grand worth of sponsored parts that he has taken and sold. So we find out where he lives and his mom lives. We drive down this back road, and Dave had sent him like 2 other builds. One of them was a big commercial truck. What was that truck? It was a telephone pole service truck or something.
Yeah, like a big boom
service
on it or
truck, yeah.
something.
It was a service truck.
Yep.
Well, we get there, and Dave's like,
Telephone pole service truck.
I don't even know what it was.
It was a standard like mechanic service truck.
Anyways, we hook up my new 6-door to this service truck with no wheels on it, and we drag it across his front yard, across his lawn, just drag it out. He pulls out in front of us, and Dave is like, I'm going to run him over. I'm going to kill him. Dave hits him with my truck, hits him, and pushes him into a ditch.
Hold on, are we?
Dave didn't say anything.
Wait,
Dave
are we?
just snapped.
Are we admitting to a crime?
Oh,
What is-
no,
trust me, we-
we
Okay,
went
yeah,
to
so
jail.
you hit-
we went
oh,
to
yeah.
jail.
We've been through the whole judicial process.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
all right.
so we push him into a ditch while pulling a service truck across his yard.
through an orchard or something.
Heavy D jumps out and Frog jumps onto his hood.
Ooh,
And
Froggy
he's
style.
like, I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker. And now here's the best part. Now, of course, I carry, right? I always have a gun on me. Well, I'm sitting in the back seat with his informant who has told us where he lives. The informant is so scared that he's hiding under a blanket in the back of my truck.
A big boy too.
And he looks at me and he goes,
he peeks his head out.
and he peeks his head out and he goes, you Utah boys are crazy. And I said, listen, if he moves and pulls a gun, I'm going to shoot him. I've got my gun out and I'm holding my gun on him. And
trigger discipline, man. What are
no,
you doing?
I had
What's
I was ready to pull the trigger.
Oh man,
And Dave is frog jumping back and forth on his hood saying, get out and fight me. Okay?
Is it Dave Kiley or Dave
no,
Sparks?
Dave Sparks. Dave Sparks. So now I'm like,
I don't like roadblocks.
No.
Roadblocks bother me.
So, dude, he has an old flip phone, and he's filming us run him off the road and say we're going to kill you and murder your family, okay? So now, guess what? He calls the cops. So now we've got 13 of Kansas City's finest rolling down a dirt road, and, of course, I have my gun on me.
To an obvious crime scene.
To an obvious crime
yeah,
scene.
obvious crime scene.
Well, so he is like screaming, they're trying to kill me, they're trying to murder me, and then he's like, they're stealing my property.
Oh, he flipped and played victim?
Yeah, he played victim.
They got to him first because he made the call.
old Karen tactics,
Yeah.
huh?
So
Well,
anyways,
shit, he's got Quadzilla jumping up and down on his hood.
Yeah.
You know?
so then the police are like, hey, we gotta take you in, like this, we gotta get this figured out. So they put Dave in the back of a cop car. Now I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the story. Dave called me and said, we gotta go, we're going overnight. And I said, that's fine, I have meetings in the morning, so I have to be back. And he goes, yeah, we'll be back. So Dave,
This is a new addition to the story.
so Dave is now in a cop car in handcuffs, and Diesel Dave and I get out and snap a picture in front of the cop car.
And come to the back window of the cop car and say, do you want us to just meet you at home?
That's what I said. I was like, do you want me just to meet you at home? and Dave looks at me and goes, no, go down to the police station and get me out. And I was like, bro, I got a meeting I got to be back for at 8 a.m. So they drag him down to the police station. Somehow, in the interim of that, they take his shoes. I don't know why they took your shoes. We get there.
No, they put me in the drunk tank.
Yeah, they put you in the road, so they took your shoes.
Yeah.
Well, dude, when we get there, they go, hey, guys, it's going to be, that was Friday. They go, the judge isn't in until Monday, so we can't get him out until the judge gives us a bell on Monday. And I'm like, hey, man, I got to get home. I got a meeting I got to go to. And then the police find out who we are. And they're like, oh, wait, we know you guys. We're huge fans of you.
It was a felony charge.
It was a felony charge. Yeah, because they said, listen, Dave, you ran him off the road and you were screaming, I want to murder you. That's attempted murder, bro.
It's like, I did?
Weapon.
And dude, and his little flip phone, he's like showing the cops, see that he tried to kill me. Well, dude, then we find out that he has tons of issues with the police. Like the police are like, dude, this guy has so many issues. Nobody here in the city likes him.
The problem was this happened on a Friday, and the judge was gone for the day, so they're like, you're going to have to hang tight. You got to stay put till Monday, till the judge hears your case.
Until he even hears you to give you a bell.
So I still don't. You guys talked to him, told him.
Oh yeah. So then I worked my
background.
magic. I was like, listen, man. Number one, we give away trucks, and we also want to send you guys a huge package from Diesel Power Gear. And they were like, oh my gosh, that would be great. And I said, listen, man, what's it gonna take to get my buddy out of here? And they go, you know what? We'll do a $500 bill.
And they did a little more research on the situation on Levi too.
Yeah, and they realized he had stole this stuff from us, that he had kept it on his property, and we were told as soon as we got it off his property, it was ours, right? Because possession is 9/10 the law, so if it was on his property, it's his, no matter what the civil suit is. But we drugged the truck off his yard, so we were good. So I said to him, I said, listen, man, how do we get out of here? Like, what do we do? And he goes, I got you. It's going to be $500 bill. And I'm like, cool, man. That's how much I have in my bank account. And by the way, an ATM doesn't give me it gives me 200. I get 200. So, bro, we walk across the street. The ATM gives me 200, gives Dave 200. And I was like, hey, can 400 work? And they're like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Holy shit. Everything you guys are telling me, this would never happen if it was me, man.
You would be toast.
Oh, I'd be cooked, bro. They would have fucked me with the long dick of the law.
Yeah, you would have been.
I'm totally kidding.
No,
I'm not
you would have
Which,
been.
speaking of, we should probably give the listeners who don't know who you are a little background on who you are. Who is Lala Ellsworth? You are.
Oh, yeah. That was a long tangent we just went on.
And you know what?
You guys
If
admit
people
to
are
a lot
still
of stuff.
if people are still here, they probably want to know who you
Oh,
are
yeah.
about you.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys stuck around. Is this my camera?
That's your
crew.
Yeah, we're going to drop some gems on you. But no, my name's Lala. I actually met this. I did all of Keaton's tattoos. I think that's how we originally connected. But then they found out that I'm a degenerate just as they are. So
Yep.
then.
Where are your people from?
Are we telling stories in a campfire lit cave? What the fuck are we doing?
If you guys are having,
No,
if you're
I'm
just
fine.
listening, just picture UB40.
UB40 with longer hair.
Yep.
No, yeah. Well, I'm Tongan. I'm Polynesian, so I'm come from a seafaring people. You know.
Which, hold on. Speaking of, is there beef if somebody calls you Samoan or vice versa?
Nah, man. I think we're practically the same.
Is one an insult or another?
I think at one time it was, but nowadays, like, we're so similar. We're literally the same exact people. My kids is half Samoan. Like, I grew up with Samoan. I know, like, I can convince Samoans that I'm Samoan just with off like a few words that I know.
If your kids are Samoan, does that make your wife Samoan?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, she's Samoan.
Yeah, she's Samoan.
And that's not a thing.
No, you know, it's funny because I didn't even grow up like it. Like, I knew people didn't get along, but
Yeah.
it's probably their own thing. But I'm sure culturally it was an issue back in the day. But
But it's not anymore.
nah, I'm tattooing.
I love Polynesian culture. I mean, it's the one culture that I feel the most. It's between Polynesian and Latin, obviously,
Yeah.
because I spent a ton of time in Latin America. You're obviously basically an honorary Polynesian.
Yeah. The
Just
colonel.
a very light-skinned colonel.
Yeah.
He's
Poly.
everybody's cousin.
Everybody's cousin. Everybody's got a cousin too. The thing about polys that I love is you guys have funny ways of saying things, and when I say funny, I mean it's just creative.
Yeah.
So you'll hear things that Lala says that if you don't understand, I'll try to unpack them a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll understand.
What do you do, Lala? What's your career?
I tattoo. That's like the main thing. I do that. I'm not too shitty at it. I'm booked out for a couple years, but then if like Keaton calls me, then then I got to show up and
Damn, a couple years.
And he disregards the fact that there's like a 2-3 year waiting list.
I always disregard it.
And then I see him right after I tattoo him. He's sitting in a hot tub. I'm like, you can't do that. But yeah, dude. That one time I just finished this sleeve. I think you guys were going down south somewhere, and you jumped in Stinky Springs.
I was with you. It was when we went out to the springs.
And right when I seen him with a fresh tattoo of a freshly done tattoo is basically an open wound, and then he jumped into a natural hot pot or like a geyser, and I was just like, hepatitis, see you later.
yeah, it's got healing
Your
properties.
arm is gone. But yeah, I tattoo. I'm ADD as shit. I tattoo for a living, and then I got into like cannabis stuff, and now I have a chicken restaurant. There's just a bunch
What's
of
a
stuff.
chicken restaurant? Tell me about
It's
that.
called Bak Bak. If there was a bad bitch and deep battered, crunchy goodness, it'd be Bak Bak. Like that's what just Korean fried chicken.
Korean?
Korean.
Where's this at?
We have a location in downtown Salt Lake.
It's delicious. I had it hand delivered to me.
Yeah, so we got one in downtown. There's one in Provo. We got a food truck, and then there's
You
a
would like
couple
it.
other
I
ones.
love that, dude.
Yeah, you would like
I'm getting more and more away from ingredients and just wanting basics. Like if there was a place that just sold meat, I would go there every day for lunch. I'm so sick and tired of the bullshit.
But to be fair, you do spend a lot of time in gas stations.
I do,
of
for
getting
sure.
horrible food.
I know
Four.
I do.
That is how many Laffy Taffies he's eaten since we've started.
We're not
4.
done. We are not done.
But there's only one
Don't
ingredient.
come at us like you're health conscious and you knocking
No,
down Laffy
that's the thing.
Taffies
My
over there.
body's an anomaly, dude. My body just puts up with weird shit.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It's very weird.
Like I don't work out. I don't eat well. I don't. But on the other hand, I do other things exceptionally well. Like I supplement myself like crazy because I like experimenting with it.
Yeah,
Like
I'm the same way.
Love trying different things. And the thing is, I used to think like, oh, here's a routine I'm going to build, and then I'm just going to set it and forget it, and that's going to be my life.
And it never lasts longer than a day or two.
Well, no, it'll last, but I can do it. I could do it for 6 weeks, but then I realized like I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything at all. So I found that the more variety I get, and the more I kind of break it up into these different like batches of things that I focus on, the way better it performs rather than just trying to focus on like overall, wellness. So like my big thing right now is colostrum. You guys drink colostrum?
Straight from the teat.
You should be.
What's,
Yeah, they make
Colostrum is
powder.
the milk
I'm
that
lost.
comes out before breast milk comes out. It's the most nutritious milk.
It's like the cream on top.
Yeah.
wow.
It's like the cream on top of milk. And
So where are you harvesting this?
bro, you can buy it on
harvesting this
Amazon.
stuff at?
Arma colostrum is a big one right now. Go to Amazon and just
Wait, so what's the benefits?
bro, it's ridiculous. It's a probiotic, it's a prebiotic, so it changes like
Yeah.
your gut biome like by a lot.
Yeah.
It gives you better skin, you sleep better, mood regulation. It's insane. Like I take a lot of, I've taken a lot of stuff and I realize a lot of stuff just doesn't work. So I'm finally finding like more of these natural raw ingredients. So I mixed colostrum with the thing called diatomaceous earth, which is like
I've
this
heard
powder.
of that.
It's pretty wild. Somebody saw that I was doing videos and I had a elbow brace on, and he reached out and he's like, "Hey man, just a random fan. I see you have an elbow brace on. Do you have tendonitis?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's terrible. I hate it." And he's like, "This is gonna sound weird, but try this out. Diatomaceous earth, which is basically, if you look it up, it's an insecticide, it's a pesticide, it's a cow feed. It's the wildest thing." But
Do we have a warning disclaimer on this
Bro.
that people are going to start doing it?
you can do it. It's literally, it's just the sediment from the bottom of
well,
old
you
lake
can do
beds.
meth too.
No,
but
no.
that doesn't
I
mean
tell
it's
you what,
good for you.
Yeah.
there's zero drawback to this because it's just your
Wait, so where do you get that from?
Amazon. So you mix those. That got rid of my
Your
tennis
Prime
elbow.
account is booming, man.
Oh, dude, it is wild. It is a party in there. That's funny. I was just thinking that the other day as I was going through there. I was like, wow, I've got some wild
I
taste.
guarantee you his TikTok sales account and Prime account are
I could tell you right now,
Oh,
my
yeah.
TikTok sales account is going off.
Crazy.
There's some wild.
I guarantee it.
I just got 2 giant hose reels delivered. Not what I was
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah.
No, but that's funny you say that because I'm the same way. Because Mike, I have no discipline when it comes to diet. I have no discipline when it comes to rest or all this stuff. So I just whatever I'm putting in my body, I'm like, I got to get the baddest of the baddest. Whatever's the most efficient. Because I don't sleep a lot. I don't do like rest or whatever. I'm kind of just going
What
all
kind
the
of sleep
time.
do you get? Do you think on average?
Oh, he don't sleep.
Dude,
He's
if
like Diesel Dave.
If I'm lucky in a night, couple hours.
He's like Diesel Dave. He doesn't sleep very much.
How
Yeah.
is that possible? You just don't need it.
Fervent prayer, just living right, going with God.
You've been going
You know what I'm saying? I'm booming 6 days a week just because how I spend my Sundays, Playboy. Praise God. No,
Praise God.
No, I don't know. I think it's because of like what I'm eating or what I'm ingesting. I
Do
have
you
to
take
do.
naps? No naps?
Man, naps are for rich people, dude.
How tall are you?
I got a wiggle, baby. No, I'm 6'4".
He's a big boy. He's 6'4", 280.
No, 309. I just weighed myself today. Solid steel and sex appeal.
Where do you stack up to brothers in your family?
I'm the only boy.
What about cousins?
I'm on the bigger side of like everybody. So not only am I tall, I'm like 6'4", but then I'm kind of like
You're bulky.
I'm a thick boy. You
are.
know, I'm what the ladies call thicky mouse
What do you weigh,
nowadays.
300?
309.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is not a flabby 309. This is just a man. It's just all.
No, this
all
is like
dude.
I'm probably a few percentage of body fat away from being like a model for One Mission Nutrition. So,
I hope to see you achieve that dream, man.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be a
hope to see
big
you
day.
there too.
Do you work out?
Picture him at FitCon.
Yeah.
Top
Just-
off.
do you work
Working out. Yeah,
Tits
dude,
out.
you know what's funny? It's funny that we're talking about, so because I have no discipline with diet, no discipline with rest and all this different things, whatever can make my body better, whatever's going to fuel the vessel or heal it or whatever, I'm like all into it.
So is that caffeine and nicotine?
Oh, yeah. Like when it comes to coffee, dude, I called the main cannabis strain that I have is called Trappuccino. Based on the amount of like iced coffees I drink, I'm probably the whitest bitch you know. Oh my word, I'm like I drink so much iced coffees and everything, but dude,
Do you get the wild flavors?
No, he's just a simple
I'm
vanilla.
a classy girl, I'm a caramel guy, I don't go too crazy with it,
You got good discipline, man.
You put in another one?
yeah,
already?
what are you?
So what we're talking about here for the listeners is nicotine pouches. Nicotine pouches have a weird stigma attached to them because a lot of people associate them with dipping tobacco.
Yeah.
Not the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Two totally different worlds. Nicotine is the
Brain
primary
function and all kind of.
Yeah. So some people's bodies, and nicotine's not for everybody, but some people's bodies, I think those that have neurodivergence, which is us.
Yeah, that's if I were to say anything about Lala, it would be he's a neurodivergent.
I don't know what that means.
Having a neurodivergent brain means you have some form of ADD, ADHD, autism. It just means your brain processes things differently. So I think there's a new one called ADHD. ADHD? Yeah, ADHD, and then there's another one I just saw. But ADHD is like autism. It's like you have ADD so bad that you're basically autistic.
Which I think is you.
But I'll guarantee I'm somewhere on that spectrum for sure.
Pretty far.
Because
on
the more I learn about it, the more I realize how my brain works and I can work around it. I think you're the same way as
Yeah.
me. Big time.
It got you.
No, yeah, I got bit by the bug. It's funny because I have an autistic son. My son's autistic, non-speaking, and like.
Oh, he's full non-speaking.
No, yeah. So like he'll make sounds and things, but like he goes to a specific school, and it's a badass school. I was tripping out, but now that I probably am. I'm in the club. I'm in the club a little bit because my brain doesn't work like everybody else's, but I'm efficient.
Yeah. Once you find that groove and once you find what you're good at.
Yeah,
Bro,
and it's not
wild.
what everybody, because you probably know you got a crazy cocktail of things that you do. And I'm the same way. I can't. All these guys are talking about working out, this and sleep and all this normal shit. I'm like, because you're a simpleton, bro. I'm a real diverse man, dude.
Our neurons just need stimulation to be able to move, and to be able to move, to be able to create the energy, to be able to have the thoughts, everything.
Yeah.
They have to be stimulated. Yeah. So it's different from other people where you naturally have the stimulation. It's just kind of like constant.
Yeah.
Whereas with people that have divergence, ultimately it comes in spurts. Like when you get that dopamine hit, serotonin, whatever that feeling is that you're having, like it's not just happiness. It's like drive that you would never like. It's untouchable. People can't get close to that drive.
How do you tattoo for hours and hours and hours straight with that mindset?
Man,
Because dude, my arm was 14 hours and we did it straight.
Bro, the entire
one day,
time
one
he's in a
session was
process.
14. Well, that's the thing is that like the way my brain works, I'll keep.
You can compartmentalize everything.
I'll kind of like figure out something that'll stimulate my brain, and so I'll keep myself awake, I'll keep myself alert and focused, and I'm ADD outside of everything else, but I'll be awake, alert, and focused, and then when I'm done, I level out, and then my brain is like, you're tired.
Yeah.
Like I'll be so into something, and I'll just be fully like engulfed in whatever it is that I'm doing, and then after I'm done, I'm just overwhelmed because like I go into this weird like I go into the avatar state. I'm just functioning and moving and doing whatever, and then after I get off of that, then I'm like, oh my gosh, my body's tired, my eyes are heavy, and like, how did I even?
What's the longest?
You there, young man? What year is it? How did I get here?
Robin Williams from Jumanji.
What was the longest tattoo session you've ever done?
Like 21 or 19, 21 hours, something like that.
How long? 20 hours?
20.
Because my arm was 14 and we did it
No,
straight.
dude, like one day was 14.
See, the
and
thing
we
about
did a
that,
couple
though,
days.
is
Oh yeah, I got like 150 hours on me.
he
right
can
now.
do it because he actually cares about the process. He enjoys the process, and he's like,
Which is why he's
got
so good.
pride in the fact that his lines are good, and he shades things the right way. Like when you're invested in it, bro, you sit there for days.
And you're
on
the
end.
same way. When you get
Exactly.
vested into something, you're just like all in for. It's like, Dave, it's time.
And
to go
it's
to
usually
bed.
for as long as it takes to be able to get whatever I'm trying to get done accomplished. Like,
He
I can
knows
usually
that.
do it.
There's everyone else is giving up by the end of the night, and it's just me and him just staring at a man with his shirt off.
When
just-
you're not working, do you catch yourself on side quests?
man, yeah. Like, what do you mean by a side quest?
Okay, so you're going to get in your car, walking out the door. Right? You just got to go from point A to point B. By the time you get to the car, you've gone downstairs, you've
Oh,
checked the
man.
mailbox, you've done so many different things, and then a lot of times you don't get to the point where you were supposed to be going.
I'm the Blade Runner of side quests. I will start my day with one objective, and I'll go through an entire day just knocking down tasks, and then I'm like, I did not go grab my phone charger out of my truck. That was what I was going to do.
Yep.
And look at me. I've done all these different. No, yeah, I'm definitely like that. But my whole life is like productivity. As long as I'm doing something productive,
Building, creating, doing something.
then I'll justify whatever. Like, I didn't go to this, I didn't do this.
It's stimulation, dude.
Yeah,
It's simple stimulation for your brain. That's why people, when they're able to hyper focus like that, we like the stimulation, and our brain loves it. So just keep giving us more of it.
Yeah,
And
feel
when
like
we
I'm
don't
getting
have it, though,
diagnosed over here.
the dark side of that is when you don't have stimulation,
You're in bad
It feels
place.
like time is standing still.
Oh, I can't even go on vacation
Yeah,
because I feel useless.
Yep.
Like
Sit around, do what?
Yeah, like man, yeah, I don't even know what it's like to go on vacation because I don't enjoy it. I've found joy in working and staying busy that like when I don't have anything to do, I'm like, this sucks.
Bro, why do you think all of our vacations are like wild adventures?
Oh yeah, same. I'm the same way.
We're not gonna go sit at a beach.
No.
We just can't. So everything that we do is constantly just in that pursuit of more dopamine, right? That's the way the neurodivergent brains, because we have a deficiency in dopamine and a deficiency in serotonin and those things. So we're constantly trying to find ways to get it.
Which, back to the original point, that's what those nicotine patches do.
Oh, it's a real bad thing to have for like addiction. So if you go in on something, you go all in. You become an alcoholic. You become the connoisseur of all weeds. Like,
Oh, yeah.
When you get into something that's giving you dopamine, you're gonna squeeze all the juice out of that you can.
Yeah.
And then one day you just won't like it anymore,
Yeah, and then you never do it again.
and you just move on. Like
So
the
what
amount
do
of
the nicotine
nicotine
packs do?
bro. You
I'm
look at
not alone.
Go look at my
So-
Amazon, and you can see what kind of person I thought I was going to be.
So
versus who I really
essentially,
was.
nicotine is a dopamine
Is it
hit.
just like a high?
A little bit,
buzz, yeah.
a little bit of a buzz, but it helps your brain for people like us.
Is
It
that where
helps.
we started on this?
Yeah. See, that's the ADD.
This whole podcast is a side quest, man.
That was that we're gonna call
Yeah.
this side quest for
Yeah.
sure.
but
side quest.
that's what it does. Is it like for me? It helps me focus. It gets me clear. It gives me a dopamine hit, and then I continue doing whatever I'm doing, and I can do it very clearly.
So is it like what's Adderall?
Yes, for me, it's just a small
more
hit.
mild. Yeah.
It's a small hit of Adderall.
It's what you think caffeine's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a really good. What you think caffeine should do is what the nicotine patches do. Seriously.
Yeah.
All it does is just
And I don't want,
helps fire those
I definitely
neurons.
don't want this podcast to be us promoting like nicotine patches because I know we have young people
Stay
that are
away,
listening.
kids.
Yeah, but
It's for productivity, not for recreation.
And don't let
Yeah, it's
Dave
not for.
squirt it up your wife's nose.
yeah, Dave. Don't let Dave.
Dude,
give
did you hear
any-
that
We're not
story?
going to skate
That
past
was
that,
bad.
one. Let's.
That was
yeah,
bad.
I know,
let's-
dude.
let's
I
unpack it.
I tried
told
this
her
stuff
no.
called Zen nasal spray. It's like nicotine mixed with a bunch of like sacred herbs, is what the bottle said. I don't know what that
it's
means.
definitely
It
sacred.
was like it was like handwritten though. It wasn't like it was printed on a label.
dude,
or anything.
it's
it
was
looked like
handwritten.
Lala had put this company together
It's
and
from
put
this
the notes on
pharmacy out
himself.
of Florida that has. They've worked with like Ben
Portland.
Greenfield and some of like these big health
Or
names,
Portland.
and they helped them develop this stuff. It's wild stuff. It's super. It's just like this spicy mix of.
But bro, it's like a hard shot of nicotine. And so, like anybody who's never had any, it sends you to the moon.
AKA my
And
wife.
blast off.
And Marcus's wife was like, "Sure, Dave,
But
I'll
that's
take whatever
amplified
you're
by-
telling
No,
me."
no, no.
that's
no.
amplified by the other herbs. They
There
have
was
in
some
there.
convincing on this part. I told her no.
Yeah,
And Dave didn't do one nasal. He did both nasals.
which is a definite.
Double barrel.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Sheesh, He's trying to
I
ride
do-
the lightning.
when I was doing it,
No.
I did 2 in each. I haven't ordered it. In
But then she passed out.
puked her guts out.
Yeah, because too much nicotine will make you sick.
Totally.
yeah. So there's a fine line. You got to be careful if you have a weak stomach or anything like that. If you're super sensitive to any sort of supplementation, if you're gonna try nicotine, try like a patch.
Like a 3 milligram patch.
Yeah, like just
I will
something-
say the fine line you're talking about is usually miles back from where Dave's at.
What are you talking about?
If there's a fine line in anything, it's usually a few miles back.
That's where we're
from
at?
where Dave passed. Yeah,
Feels about right.
yeah. So like it should have been.
However,
like a small.
However, you have to understand, my relationship with Heidi is different than my relationship with a lot of my friends' wives. Like Heidi and I are super close to the point where it's like brother sister. I pick on her, and so that's a situation where I feel comfortable.
Like, here, put
pushing
this
it a
in your
little
nose.
bit. But there's honestly, you'll see in social
and
situations.
that's what it was. I guarantee it.
If I don't interact with you, if I don't tease you, that's usually not a great sign.
Yeah.
People
Means you
that
don't like 'em.
people that I
It's
feel
your love
comfortable
language.
with and that
It's your
I
love
actually want
language,
to
man.
connect with, I'll give a hard time. So Heidi's the queen of it. We give each other a very hard time. So
That was a week before her accident too.
it was
Probably.
Dude, I
was.
saw that she's like making some
Don't
crazy
you
recovery,
dare.
man.
Don't you dare.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. I saw her like go from immobile to like walk to the van on her own.
She's out there running now.
You need to listen to the episode we did with her. It was 2 or 3 episodes ago.
No, yeah, I saw that. Man, that's awesome. I didn't even know that happened, but then I just saw one of your posts about how she was immobile and then
So,
all of a sudden
Her injury was on June 3rd, which is almost a year ago. We're at 11 months, but the race that she got paralyzed in is on June 1st, which is 2 days before her year mark. So she crashed on mile 61. We bought her a trike so she could pedal with her legs, but she can ride a bicycle, but she's not very comfortable. But 2 days before her year mark, she'll finish the race from where she crashed at. So she's going to do like 39 miles on a trike.
That's so dope.
Finish it up. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's dope.
God bless.
Yeah.
and you was rocking with her the whole time, man. That's dope.
No,
That's
dude,
dope.
the Marcus and Heidi's relationship
That's awesome.
is what everybody hopes that their relationship's going to be when they're older.
Yep.
Like when you see people that are just madly in love, but also like each other and could put up with each other's shit and are
And
equally quirky,
best friends.
and they're best friends. That's Marcus and Heidi. So there's like the relationship.
It's a dope relationship.
If you're ever around them, you'll know.
Yeah.
Marcus lets the entire world know how much he cares about Heidi, and it's a beautiful thing. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, that's dope.
I have a mouthful of taffy.
Yeah, we can hear it on the microphone. You literally ate the whole bag.
I have a couple more. Guys.
No, you're good.
Mexican vanilla is a little
Yeah,
potent.
I don't want Mexican.
Key lime's my favorite so far.
Yeah, mine too.
You guys,
You can chew into the mic. The listeners can listen to you eat taffy.
anyways, as I was saying, your relationship is something that all of us look up to. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. When you see, Heidi's incredible story, behind that comes all kinds of just life. Life happens when you need a miracle to happen at the same time. So that's been kind of interesting to watch Marcus go through because it's a weird ride, man.
Yeah, not what you expect, I mean, yeah.
You've been dealt some weird hands. On one hand, it's a lot of shit. On the other hand, it's like miracles. And I know you've questioned and you've wondered, you've said this out loud before, like,
Sure.
why Heidi? Why not other people?
Well, even just beyond Heidi, dude. I mean, we go to like a therapy place where you see like there's a 16-year-old girl who we've become really close with, and she's not gaining back what Heidi's gaining back, and she's worked just as hard and had as many prayers, and it's just life. I mean, it's hard to understand why. I got a lot of questions for God when I meet him.
Why he allows certain things to happen the way they do.
Yeah, that and why some prayers help some people and they don't help other people. And, it's like we just did this event over the weekend, and I want to shout Dave out because he won't say it for himself, but we raised money for a family, a kid, just 7 years old, turning 8 next month. He's just got cancer for the second time, and it doesn't look real good. His family's in a situation where they needed to help, and they needed kind of like something to kind of get them away from what they got going on. So the idea was to raise money to get them a razor, and so I started like a silent auction, and we were raising money, and Dave saw that, and he was like, "No, dude, I'll just give them the razor," which was like super cool because now they really, really need help with everything else they have going on. So we were able to donate all the money we raised to the family. But this kid, man, 7 years old, and here he is the second time with cancer, and
Hard to understand why, right?
yeah.
It is hard to understand why certain things happen to certain people, and why when you pray or you want something to happen a certain way, and it doesn't. And then you got to explore the alternative path of like, oh, everything happens for a reason, right? Does it?
I don't know.
Does everything happen for a reason? Is everything that interconnected? Or is every moment a new opportunity to be able to just get what you want and change your situation? Because
Sorry, man. This has got, I didn't mean to.
no, I wanted to
No,
get on
this
this
is
on this
cool.
talk because I think it is a really valid question, and it's something that
It's just hard because, like I'm grateful. Like I'm super grateful that Heidi was shot. I mean, frankly, I thought I'd be carrying her out of bed every day, putting her in a wheelchair, showering her like the first 3-4 months, carrying her to her car, driving her to therapy and all that. I'm glad it's not her, but then it's like I see, like a 7-year-old kid with cancer, and I'm like, man, why does that shit gotta happen? If
one
everything
thing
we're
that
taught,
you have a lot of
I don't know.
empathy. You have
I think, man, I really wear it hard now. I see these
Yeah.
situations, and I see all these other people, and
you feel their emotions. It's a rare thing actually when somebody can be that in tune emotionally, like a true empath. Just being around somebody, you can pick up on kind of what they're feeling and what they need. And and on the flip side of that, you internalize, so you can actually feel sad for somebody, not just feel like, oh, that's too bad, but like you can actually feel kind of like the sadness that is associated with that. But it's a beautiful thing. It's also a burden sometimes.
it's like I've been carrying the weight like this kid, man. I don't know what it was when like his mom was telling me like the story. It was just at church, and it wasn't like she was asking for anything, right? She wasn't like trying to dig for anything, and I'm just like, man, these people need help, right? And we went on a trip to California. It was our first vacation with Heidi to see how it would go, and just kept like popping in my head, man. I'm just like, man, I got to do something. And I'm not the smartest. I'm not the most wealthy, but I just figure if I didn't do anything, then nothing would happen. And so
one thing I love about Marcus
I mean?
is he is the ultimate king of figuring it out. And he's just going to figure it out. That's the only thing. Like if he puts his mind to something, he's just going to figure it out. And that's why he excels at the AV stuff, all the productions, all those things that he does. Like he just wanted to be the best at it, and so he was. You just execute very well when you want to execute. It's one thing that you do really strong, and I think it's interesting hearing, your thoughts and what you're thinking and what you're going through, because you're right. It is a heavy burden, and it's crazy to think about all the dudes our age that are carrying the same burden that you don't really have many people to talk to, right? I mean, ultimately, if you're not in a family that's super like open, you don't really want to dump your problems on somebody else, and so you just kind of carry them. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, accurate.
So that's why I love podcasting, because Marcus and I will tell you this: it's been eye-opening for us, because it's an opportunity to talk about things, in a setting where it's not weird. Because sometimes I guess it's just weird if you have this conversation while you're doing anything else but this. But for some reason, having the whole world watch makes it easier to be able to open up and be a little bit more vulnerable. And I think it's important, because I think it's something that our parents weren't trained how to do, because their parents didn't teach them. So we come from generations of people that, unless there was some sort of exception in your bloodline and somebody came in and changed your family, it was just kind of a suck it up mentality, which is a very necessary mentality when you're going through the Great Depression and the World Wars and everything. Like, just deal with it. I think our parents became numb to trauma from the wars, and all the bullshit that they went through. And trauma is generational. You inherit it. So we've got some of that. The difference is we're kind of emerging into this new generation where we can actually talk about it, and it's cool.
Yeah, man. But you said something like, "Why does God let something like that happened to this kid, the 7-year-old kid that got cancer?" But in a weird riddle of a way that this kid has cancer, and that's fucking unfair. That kid, he didn't make that choice, but in a weird way, it's dope, because a family that has to watch their son or brother, whatever, deal with that, they lack a lot. But now there's an opportunity to serve. So what was once just a normal life, everybody would have carried on as they would. Now all of these people have an opportunity to serve these people. So maybe there's a little bit of the residual, why did God do this? These people felt so urged that they wanted an opportunity to serve and show their love. And now this whole family that was, at one time a victim, maybe now they're like, we felt like God hated us, but look at all these people that are showing love for us. There's a weird, I don't know, a residual overflow of what this thing, if you're focusing on just this, then yeah, that sucks. The kid that got cancer, and there's his second time, and there's nothing he can do about it. But now all of these people are a part of this big ripple effect of, we want to give love. They felt loved, and they feel all these different things. But I don't know, it's unfair, but it's crazy, the wave and the around that.
For me, man, it's like the past year, of our lives has been everybody giving to us. You know what I mean? Frankly, I mean, it would have been really hard and I would have figured it out, right? But it would have been very, very stressful for us to get Heidi the therapy she needed to get better. And frankly, I think that's why she got better, is because she was there 5 days a week, And so for me, it's I see these situations and I don't have a lot to offer, but I'm just trying, because I feel like my whole life, it's the scales are tipping unevenly. Everyone's been giving to us, and now I've got to try to figure out how to get it to go the other way. And so I see these situations with that kid, and I'm like, man, I got to do something. And it's
That's the residual overflow I was talking
it's almost
about.
Selfish, because it makes me feel better, and I'm me, I'm not trying to get I don't want any credit for anything. I just want to know that I made somebody else feel, maybe take a little bit of what they have going on and take some of that away, because I know how it feels, because for the past year, that's how people have done.
Why do you think we've made a living out of doing that?
I know.
It's almost a selfish feeling sometimes, helping other people. because you know how good it makes you feel. I felt that way before. Like I feeling way too much just, satisfaction in this moment because you're just overwhelmed with like satisfaction and like gratification. It's just all the good feelings that it's hard to find anywhere else when you do something for somebody else that they can't do for themselves.
Well, and I have a hard time with, just being frank and honest. And this is like be the first time I really ever even mention it, but I have a real hard time with like spirituality and
you don't say
religion. Yeah, I know. My wife's very aware. I talk to my wife, right? But I haven't prayed since her wreck.
Yeah.
And all I know is I'll just bust my ass and I'll do everything I can. And
was it that moment of the wreck that caused you?
No,
to
it was before that, but definitely the wreck
had been building.
It just kind of like it
tipping point for sure.
Destroyed me. Yeah. But anyways, it's like, okay, so I don't really pray, but this kid, I'm like, dude, I'm going to do whatever I can here right now with what I have to help. And I think that the majority of my rest of my life will be that.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, if I'm wrong and I got to figure it out, it's like I'll figure it out. But frankly, it's like I'm here now and I see situations. And again, I'm not the most qualified, but I feel in myself like it's like I gotta make the scales tip evenly, man. I gotta at least evenly. I hope it goes the other way, and I'm able to do a lot more. But it's just
this is pretty damn.
You're being the spiritual that you think you're lacking. You thought you were lacking something spiritual, but look at the influence that you took on that made you want to do all these good things.
I think you're very external.
Like it's not, I'm not going to question how you feel or what, you know what I mean? But it's dope that like where you thought there was a lack of spirituality, that shit's in you now. The shit you was looking for, it's in you. Now you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm stepping out of turn or whatever, but like
spot on.
It's amazing. Like the I don't know, the grace and glory you were looking for, you're making it now.
I don't want glory.
No, but I'm saying like
glory.
The mercy you were looking for your wife, you're creating that for so many other people. And you would have carried on with life as normal. You're getting polished, my boy. You're getting polished right now. That's some dope shit.
I'll tell you, I'll give you my take on it. And this is the truth according to me, so it's not to be taken as gospel. Because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. Why does some things happen to some people and others? And see if I can get through this without being emotional. I firmly believe, like to my core, as much as I'm sitting here at this table, that at some point before that young kid came to this earth, he made an agreement. And that agreement was, I'll go down and I'll do that. Not for me, but for the people around me that need to learn. I've always been really, really pissed about my father dying at 47. When I spoke at my event last week, I talked about a young girl who was 11 years old who got cancer and ended up passing away. And I remember when she died, I was pissed. I was like, this isn't fair. And then I very, very clearly remember having a conversation with God, and it was not a nice conversation. And the response that I got, and it's why I feel so clearly about it now, is that each one of us had an opportunity before we came here to sign up for what it is that we had down here, whether that's a 7-year-old with cancer, whether it's a father who died at 47, your wife who crashed, she signed up for that. And she signed up for it knowing that it would teach you and your family and all of those people. Like, you may not know this, but like her effect on other people, not just you, but on your children. Like, let me just, if I can for a moment, there's nothing more powerful for a child. There's nothing more powerful for a child than to watch their parent fight at something that's supposed to destroy them and triumph over it. There's isn't. There's nothing you would ever have been able to teach your children that your wife has now taught them as they've watched her do this. And as unfair as we sometimes think life is, it was because we had a pre-contract before we came down. And we said, you know what? I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be tough, but send me. I'll go do it, because I know when I go do it, it's going to bless the lives of those people around me. And one of those contracts was, hey, Lord, let me go down and get cancer at 7. Because there's somebody down there like Marcus who has some kind of struggle with you, that I'm going to teach them a better lesson that they otherwise couldn't have learned if I wouldn't have chosen to do this. So it turned me from why to being grateful. To being grateful that somebody at some point said, you know what? Send me down. I'll get cancer. Send me down. I'll crash my bike and be paralyzed. Send me down, because there's no way that those people in my circle will ever learn without me going through those things. And as hard as it will be, I know that there's a greater purpose. So send me and I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of tragedy comes life, man. That's what it becomes.
I don't want people to think that I'm like super pissed
No, dude,
about
you're doing
Heidi either. Like,
you're doing so much better than
for
you
me
were a couple months ago.
For me, it's like, it's not even Heidi, because Heidi's been getting better, right?
Yeah.
It's like I see everybody else that I'm like, well, why aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's I don't know, that's where I struggle, man. It's not so much my wife, because my wife is getting better and she'll keep getting better, right? Like, it's everyone like around it. It's like I feel like I'm more aware of everybody else now,
Well,
and I'm just
the
like,
beautiful thing about that is you can do something about it, and you are.
I'm trying, man.
And that's called having a purpose and a mission. And that's ultimately what provides like the ultimate fulfillment.
You remember that race we did last year? The Good Vibes race you guys came out to.
Was that last year?
That was last year, last August.
Big event.
Yeah, we did that motocross race last minute. It raised money for Heidi's therapy, but we're doing it again this year, and we plan on doing it yearly and finding someone that it would benefit and doing it. And I mean, when this happened, I thought, oh man, this would be a good thing for this kid. You know, we'll do the Good Vibes race for him in August. And I was like, man, I mean, the way that it's going, he may not be here in August, you know? And so
That's pretty cool.
that's why we had to do it now. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the perfect example of, because of this one instance of this child's life, the ripple effects that it will affect thousands and thousands and thousands of people that otherwise would not have changed and or been affected if that hadn't happened. You know? And again, for me specifically, nobody else, but for me specifically, it keeps me into this mindset of gratitude, because again, like, instead of wondering why and being pissed, I just fall down and go, you know what, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for it. Again, I don't mean for this podcast to turn into the gospel, but I got to say, dude, like, one of the things for me that I've been studying a lot is I wondered why the life of Christ was what it was. And also, if God had everything, why did he allow the things to happen that happened to Christ? Because I think if we were there at that time, I think all of us would be asking, even if we didn't believe in him, be like, why are they doing this? Why? But the truth is because he said, I'll go down, I'll go through those things, and through those things, millions and millions and millions and millions of lives will change, and millions of people will get better and do better and have what they need to have and learn what they need to learn. And at any moment, God could have said, let's take that one away. I don't want him to suffer. Let's just be done. This is a simple one. He's dead. It's over. But he didn't. He suffered like a mother. And he did it because it was to teach and help people to grow. And again, that's why I keep going back to that. You know, now a lot of times in my gratitude, it's like, man, I'm so grateful, God, that you sat around and allowed the things to happen to Christ, to my Father. Because in those things, that was the only way that I could possibly learn. My entire speech at my event was the things that I had learned from an 11-year-old girl.
I listened to it. I went back and watched it on YouTube.
My entire thing was the things that she had taught me. And truthfully, like, the man I am today is because that 11-year-old girl decided at some point, hey, I'll go down and I'm going to teach Keaton these things and I will be the one. And instead of me saying, oh, well, why? I'm throwing that knowledge out the window. I go, no, I'm just really, really grateful for it. and it's changed everything. Again, I mean, Dave, he's gone through the same thing with a father. Like, how many times you ask, why isn't my dad here? Why did I have to lose my dad at 21? But now I turn into, man, I'm just so grateful that he chose at some point with God to say, hey, I'll go down and I'll die early because I know that it's going to teach Keaton, my oldest son, what he needs to learn. And now, instead of me saying why, I say, I'm so, so grateful. And it's shifted everything for me.
I thought that about my dad passing away. He passed away when I was 18. But I was like, why? Why does it happen to me? But in an odd way, yeah. Some people are lucky enough to keep someone around their entire life, but I was one of the lucky ones that everything I was supposed to learn from my father, I did it in 18 years. Some people don't learn the lesson like that. They have to keep their dad around for the entire span of their life. But maybe I learned enough in my 18 years. That's all I needed. And since then, I've, because it happened, it made it mandatory to do, like, things I had to do. I had to figure things out. I had to take care of people. I had to do all these different things. But otherwise, I would have never. I would have been, solid piece of shit. But I mean, it put me in an uncomfortable situation where I had to do something. But otherwise, I would have never. I would have never learned anything. I would have never been so focused and driven to do all these other things, because whatever I got in 18 years, that's all I was supposed to, like, that was all that was on the contract that said, everything you need to know from this man to benefit your life, you get it in 18 years. Everyone else has to do it a little longer. You learned it in 18. So when he left, I figured it out. Yeah. Like every man does, figure it out.
And I, again, dude, I think that your dad at some point said, yeah, I'll go down and I will pass away, because I know that it's going to teach Lala what he needs to learn to become who he's going to need to become to affect the world the way that the world needs to be affected.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like a big factor or not, but my dad was white too, so that's how I camouflage so easily.
He was full white?
Yeah, so he's not my biological dad, but I don't call nobody else dad. Like, he's dad to me. Bless you, sir. Drinking water out of a can. No, but yeah, that's...
So he came into your life after you were born when?
Before I was born in 1990, and then my mom got married 91 in January.
So like raised you.
Like, I'm talking, that's the only dad I ever knew.
That's the one who died?
Yeah. I never met my biological dad, and I don't have like an emptiness inside of like, who is he? What, I was like, man, I had a dude that stepped up and there was no lack. I had, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's no, I don't know, part of me that needs to be fulfilled, man. I
think you're mature enough to have an understanding of who your dad probably was.
Oh yeah.
And don't hold him to any higher standards than that.
Thanks for the genetics.
Yeah.
I'm like, that. Other than that, like, I don't have any hate towards him. I don't like, but I've never sought after looking for him, because I'm like, man, I had a badass dad, dude. I learned dope shit. I did cool things. And it's a very odd thing to grow up in. I grew up in northern Utah, in Brigham City. And it's kind of
It's a big poly community.
Enormous. Yeah, in the town,
it was you.
3, me, my mom, and my sister.
Brigham City's for those of you who don't know, Brigham City's it's like a rural town.
It's the white factory.
It's a white factory.
Yeah, they make them over there.
Yeah, it's just they're famous for making honey up in that area.
It's funny that my dad, and he was older too. So he was like an older white man, and he's got to raise this mammoth of a brown child. And it was funny because I grew up my whole life in a very conservative town at a time that wasn't the most friendly to like minorities, I guess, if you want to say that. And this man, he held his head high, and he was like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he took pride in the fact that I was his boy. My son's name, I named my son after him. I call him my favorite son because he's my only son.
Tell me about that story. When did you guys move to Brigham?
I was born in Hawaii, 1990, and then right after that, we literally...
Did your mom meet your dad here?
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Yeah, and then it's crazy.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's crazy because my dad had like... It's a wild story, but he'd done really well in like the farming and ranching industry, and he had sold his ranch, and so he was just in Hawaii. I think he like, I read through his journals and all this like stories and stuff. He was going back and forth just to kind of see my mom or whatever, and then when he found out my mom had 2 kids, me and my sister at the time, he was like, he not only he fell in love with my mom, but he fell in love with us kids. So everyone always asks me, how do I have the last name Ellsworth? That is not a Polynesian sounding name. Dude, when my mom got married to my dad, I was not a step kid. He had legally adopted us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why we have his last name. But like most people, you get married and that
Yeah,
doesn't
because
really happen.
most people don't.
Yeah, and that would have been fine. I wouldn't have felt any lack, but he was like, no, I'm going to go a step further and legally adopt you guys so that I have the same last name. So he's not my stepdad or whatever. He's literally my dad. Like,
What was your original last name?
no idea. I never met
Mine was Swenson.
Swenson?
Yeah, it was a wing. I was same
Yeah.
situation.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so that's another crazy thing. Everybody here at the table's biological dad is dead, except for yours. You don't know. You haven't connected with him.
Yeah, never. But I mean,
But basically, this guy's your
yeah,
dad.
yeah. The dad,
like
the
there's
person I called dad, yeah, he passed away when I was 18.
There's a and there's no difference between biological or not. I love that you've been able to draw that distinction because it's not a situation where I've actually oddly been like drawn towards adoption or something like that recently, just because I don't know, man. It's a feeling. It's like what Marcus has talking about wanting to help other people. You see these foster kids, these kids that they got nothing, man. It's so weird to not weird. It's really hard talking to these kids, and they're like, yeah, I was with family for 9 months, and then they just couldn't have me anymore, and so I went to another family. Imagine one of your kids just getting tossed around from family to family, and the family's like, I can't keep you anymore. Here, go to the next one.
Yeah, I have 2 sisters that were adopted. So I have 3 sisters now altogether. The youngest came from foster care.
I don't understand why it's so hard to adopt when there's so many foster kids.
It's the system. It's money. It's crazy, dude.
Because it's pretty hard to adopt, yeah?
Yeah, and it's
It was hard for us.
expensive. And
You guys
it's
adopted?
crazy.
Yeah, so I have an older, it was just me and my sister, and then I have another sister who's the oldest. She's actually my biological first cousin. That's a very common thing in Polynesian households where if it's your cousin or whatever, you're my kid. So just come. Like Tongans, we have a word that's called pusiaki. That's it's basically an informal adoption where you just accept this child as your own child.
Meaning if the parent passes?
No, not even the pet. Like maybe they're not fit to care for the child, not ready for a child. Maybe their health isn't good enough to care for the child. Whatever the situation is, you just take that kid in and it's your kid. So my oldest sister is that, and then my youngest sister,
There's probably not a lot of foster kids in Tonga and Samoa.
no. I don't imagine.
That's wild. Think about that. The culture is just so embracing. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just warmth. I mean,
It's a very different culture. The other thing that people don't know about the Polynesian culture is that by trade, usually what happens when you get old enough, like 18, 19, 20, you begin to take care of your parents. And as your parents get older, you take care of them financially, everything. You guys, I have an adopted Polynesian brother. That's why I have all these tats. He's been taking care of his parents for 20 years.
You think about it. Think about where their parents and their parents and their parents came from.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody landed on those islands in the middle of the Pacific, and even though it's a beautiful place to be, an island can be really hard to figure out how to live.
Yeah.
And so I think as you had these smaller tribes that went out there and started blooming, they had to figure out how to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's different.
It's very different.
People are fragmented from all over the different communities, different tribes, different places of the world. People are always moving around. Whereas if you're from there and you're born there, you usually stay there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but just without innately being taught or learning anything
part
about
of
it, you just it's just
been generations.
Yeah,
of this.
you take care of the people you want to take care of. You make sure it's like a communal village thing where even though that's not my kid, so I grew up in a culture where if that's not my parent, they have just as every right to come and slap me and tell me to tune up when I'm not behaving the way I'm supposed to. And that's not my mom, that's not my dad, but they can come up to you and be like, do this because your role as whatever, you affect everyone else's role. So when mom and dad or parents or whatever is not around, the village cares so much about you. We're such a communal group of people that's I'm not your mom, but I want what your mom wants, so act right when you're doing this, and so that was a normal thing, getting slapped by.
I learned that lesson the hard way when I went to college. and I met essentially my brother that was adopted. We both ended up going to jail for a little while, and my parents were like, "You're done, dude. We don't want anything to do with you. You're in jail." And I remember Junior is my brother's name. His uncle flew out.
I remember you told the story.
He flew out from I think Samoa,
Just to come.
and he bailed us out of jail. And I'd never met him ever. And he drove us from the jail to back to the dorms, and he didn't say anything. And I remember sitting in the back seat, and I was fully entrenched in the culture, and I loved it because it was like my family, and they took care of me. And the uncle got us out of the car and then beat the hell out of both of us. And now my brother's 6'3", 380 pounds. I was 6'2", 280 pounds. His uncle was like 5'8", 180 pounds. And he beat the hell out of us. And after he punched me, he kissed my brother and I. He gave us $20, and he didn't have very good English. And he said, "You need to be better." That's all he said. And I remember leaving there, and I was like, what just happened? And Junior, he was like, "Well, that's, the elders. Yeah, you just, everybody is your parent." He literally treated me like my father, and I'd never met him. I literally took an ass whooping from a guy I had never met. And then he told me he loved me and kissed me on the forehead after he beat the hell out of both of us. And
That's an odd thing in the Polynesian culture where your social equity outweighs whatever. Like, so me, I'm a big dude. I have little tiny aunties that like that. It don't matter that she's smaller than us or whatever, but like whatever they say, go just out of respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one day my mom was yelling at me and they're like, "Dude, you let your mom talk to you like that?" I'm like, "Keep your voice down." Like everybody's like, "Man, you're a big dude. Why don't you go hit that dude?" I'm like, "That's my mom's oldest brother. And I'm bigger than him. I'm stronger than him. I'm still a little scared of him." You know what I mean? Like out of respect, I'm like, but there's a weird thing in our culture with that. Like just if you're older, you get more social equity as far as like your value to people. So even though
it's always, a lot of people don't know this, and one of the things I love the most about the Polynesian culture, it's always, there's an ass whooping, and then there's an "I love you" and "I kiss you," and then we're good.
That was my favorite part of getting my ass whooped as a kid was the McDonald's.
Yeah.
That was
because they would whoop your ass, and then they would take you to McDonald's and say, "Get what you want."
Yeah. You ever get hit to stop crying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a
Get hit to stop crying. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I made a video about that. I was like, man, that's like an overdraft fee. Parents hit you to stop crying. I'm like, make that make sense.
It's crazy too, like the way that the culture's set up. There's hierarchy in the culture, and most people don't know this either. In a Polynesian family, the one who has the most say is the oldest sister. Like always, the oldest sister is the one.
Yeah, that's my mom. Like that's the.
In the family, the one who has the say over the whole family, like what the family does, where they go, how they act, it's always
She names your kids.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Your older sister does?
So yeah, like that's like it's just like
She doesn't have to be the oldest sister.
yeah. No, yeah. So there could be a boy older. So there's this like
you have a girl sibling?
all three sisters, but like but yeah. So in our culture, like so I'm Tongan. They call it a fahu. That's like the oldest girl. That's the
And is
matriarch
your sister
of the
a
family.
true fahu? Like,
I guess, she's still growing into it. They grow into it.
How old
But,
is she?
My oldest sister, she graduated 01.
bro, that's got to be a hard
She's 41.
position to fill
go.
in this day and age.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then it's funny because we all acknowledge it. Like I'm talking way deeper than like, yeah, I'll listen to you, I'll hear you out. Like if we were to have a family meeting, and this is like weird stuff not weird, but I think it's beautiful as far as like respect goes. If we had a meeting and my mom, who's the oldest female sibling, she's basically like the mob boss.
Yeah.
Everyone listens to her, but I'm talking if
Do
she's
her and your sister clash, your oldest sister?
no. That's
Your
a part
mom.
of the fahu training. You got to instill the confidence in the next generation. But like my mom, if we're having a family meeting, she's sitting on a chair and we all sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Just to let her, it's an added tier of our respect that we respect you like with our heart and our mind, but physically you're gonna sit higher than all of us in this room. We'll sit on the floor while you sit on a chair. There's like that's
kind of cool.
It's just like a respect thing.
It's crazy. The whole culture
Yeah.
is all based around respect. It's one of the reasons why there isn't the same issues in the Polynesian culture as there is in so many other cultures, because it's all based around respect and loyalty. Like, dude, I remember one time my brother with his cousin, they were having a little tiff, and his cousin wanted to fight his dad. Well, my brother beat the hell out of his cousin because you don't do that. You don't allow that. Like, respect for your elder is above everything. And there's a hierarchy in there that you have to abide by. And if you don't, then the siblings who abide by that hierarchy take over. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a very respect and loyal driven culture. And it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with it.
Yeah, like a good example of like where the hierarchy goes. One of my cousins, he's older than me, so like by default I have to listen to him. You know what I mean? I have a big following on like TikTok and social media just from tattooing and doing goofy shit. People coming up to me while we're eating breakfast in Hawaii, taking pictures with me, doing this whole like rigmarole of like, oh my gosh, I follow you and I do this and this. And I was feeling pretty real about myself. I'm like, yeah, no problem, man. You all good, man. And then my cousin, just as a flex, he just had to, he had to drop the hammer down and be like, hey, hurry up and do what I told you before I send you to the store in front of all these people. And I'm like, please don't do that, Johnny. Please don't do that. These people respect me, Johnny. Don't do that.
Well, that's just the way it is, and it doesn't matter how big you are.
Dude, my cousin, he did 13 years in prison. I'm not saying he killed somebody, but somebody died. But he gets out of prison. This is a man who's been in prison for a long time. He committed a serious crime, and we were outside of a wedding, a different cousin's wedding, and my cousin, he just gets out of jail. He's fresh out. He's sitting there drinking in the parking lot. My mom comes up to us, and he's like, he's been in prison. He's, was once a hardened criminal, now is reformed, but he's definitely seen some shit. And out of respect, when my mom came out, he had a beer in his hand like this, and when my mom came out, he said, "Oh, hi, Auntie." He hid his beer, and I'm like, that's a grown ass man. Yeah. He allegedly killed somebody. And he was like afraid of offending my mom or making her upset that he was drinking a beer. So he's like, "Oh," I hid the beer behind him, and he's like, "Sorry, Auntie, how are you?" And I was like, "Bro, you a coward."
Craziest story. You know my friend Sia.
Yeah.
Sia.
Oh, dipped in butter, man.
He's always glistening. Dude, this is the same story.
The shortest shorts you've ever seen.
He was at a party in Clearfield, and there was one other Polynesian there, and the Polynesian kid that was there was being very disrespectful to women. And Sia kept saying to him, "Hey, this is unacceptable. You don't talk like this in front of women." Well, he kept kind of pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Sia went to the guy who was the household owner and was like, "Hey, I'm going to handle something in your house. Is that okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, do whatever you need to do." Walked back over to the dude, bop, hit him, knocked him out cold. Picked him up, put him on a couch, put a blanket on him, kissed him on the forehead. No joke.
Sia kisses everybody.
He does kiss everybody, but put him on it. And he said, I told him to stop. He wasn't listening. He was being disrespectful, so I had to show him that we don't be disrespectful in front of women.
And that guy wears short shorts.
He does wear short
Sia
shorts.
has the tightest shorts I've ever seen a man wear.
That's what I love about Polynesians. There's nothing a little bonk can't fix.
No.
Yeah.
Just a little, hey,
Yep.
back in line.
And dude, the next morning there's no beef ever. It's not like there's carried beef. It's like, hey, you got your beating.
Yeah.
It'd be disrespectful of you to be insulted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He if he didn't do that, he's putting a wrinkle in the Lord's work. You know? He was like, I gotta do this, bro. God sent me to touch you, man.
I would love to hear. I feel like that's either been said in court before by Lala, or it's gonna be said. Either way, that's a court transcript.
Listen,
right
Your
there.
Honor.
That's a T-shirt.
God sent me to touch him.
I'd put a wrinkle in the Lord's work, you know?
Can't do that.
I was the Lord's hand in this situation, and I'd be damned if I disappoint him. Not again. Not after the last one.
This is. Sometimes you wonder why Lala's so happy.
Yeah.
And then you see his point of view on things, and it just explains it all. You just view it's all about perspective.
Oh yeah.
You can view things from the bottom, from the top, the side, but you just have a tendency to lean towards viewing things glass half full.
Well, no, I take it a step further. I solve the riddle because I feel like every perspective is supposed to be positive. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's intentionally supposed to be positive. So the way my brain works is I have to find it. If I don't get it right off the bat, that means I'm not analyzing it the right way. I haven't, and your boy got some critical thinking skills. I don't want you to judge me physically, but your boy got a brain. So I'm like, God wouldn't, God don't make mistakes. There's a perfect solution to this, and I'm analyzing it, and maybe I'm not understanding it, and that's why it seems imperfect. But I solved the riddle, and I'm like, where's the positive in this? So that's what it takes a while, but
I don't know. I've known you for a long time. I've never known you to not take positive.
Oh yeah,
You're always positive. I don't think it takes you very long at all.
I think it's part of your demeanor. You're born with some of it.
Oh yeah, but that's like nothing in life. Well, I don't know if everybody believes in God or whatever, but nothing in this world would be as great as it was if it wasn't supposed to be perfect. But nobody's understanding is perfect. That's why you got to solve these riddles. Solve the riddles. You got to figure it out.
That's a checklist item right there. Solve the riddle.
Check me, Daddy. Yeah. Check me. So you got to solve the riddle. It's supposed to be positive. Life is intentionally positive, but you have to find it sometimes. And the harder it is to find, who knows? Maybe it's more rewarding.
Oh, you had a hell of a riddle to figure out then, didn't you?
You got to find that Tootsie Roll center in the center of that Tootsie Pop, man.
World may never know.
Gotta find it, man. You gotta find it like a truffle pig. You'll get there.
It's in there.
You'll get there.
As somebody who knows Marcus really well, he's down to a few licks left.
Yeah, he's only got a few licks left.
You know how when you're eating like a red one and you see the brown start shining through, it's kind of a weird feeling at first, but then you keep licking.
Oh yeah.
And then it's just delicious.
I hope nobody clips that. But yeah.
Little brown little turtle head comes out of the top.
That was very profound. I love that. I love that illustration. Don't clip that. Show the full context of that one. I don't know.
Don't take that one out of context.
Yeah,
please.
that one's an odd
or
one.
do I don't care.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you gotta. Yeah.
Do you care what people think about you?
You know what's funny? I think I have the most loyal people around me because I'm genuine, and the only time I care is if I'm offensive to them. But like other than that, I don't care. Like if I made somebody feel uncomfortable in a room, then I care. But like if it's like, man, this dude's doing this and this, I don't really bother with that.
But that's part of the upbringing and the culture.
Yeah. The only thing that I care about that other people think is if I'm offensive or if I've said something that or just makes them uncomfortable. Yeah. If I said something that made them uncomfortable, I'll feel bad. Yeah. Like I'll go home and that'll eat at me. I'm like, man, I might have said something that made somebody uncomfortable. And it's funny because I'm not trying to be offensive, but it hurts my heart that they felt a certain way. I don't know. I take weird shit like that home with me. Sometimes I'm like, I made that person feel not their best. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. It makes me feel.
Well, if it matters, I always feel my best around you.
I do too.
1,000%.
You're my favorite podcast guest, and we've done a couple together, one on Keaton's, one here, and I was like, dude, this guy's freaking the best.
No, yeah. Well, you can't let everybody know you got the secrets to life.
Whose idea was it to invite him?
I think it was Hans.
You know what's funny is that the last time
I'm the one that threw your name in the ring.
You know what's the funniest thing is the last time we did the UFC thing a couple years ago. Yeah. Remember that? And then we came back. And then you were saying like, yeah, Heavy D wanted you to come. I don't think you guys ended up using it, but we were watching YouTube clips and reacting to them.
Yeah.
But I remember that it was Heavy D's idea. He's like, no, we need his insight,
bro.
Bring him in.
You bring valuable insight to the team.
Oh yeah. I'm that outlier.
You're
man.
like the definition of a team player.
Yeah.
You just get everybody fired up.
Oh yeah.
And you make everybody feel. What I love about you, I mean, start with your hair, right? Let's unpack. That's
a lot to unpack.
Unpack that is a lot of hair. Is that all your real hair?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people ask me that. Yeah, it's down to my knees.
Your hair is down to your knees.
Yeah, and I cut 6 inches off some of them. Yeah, like I cut it like a couple years ago I watched some TikTok about healthy hair, and I was like, I got self-conscious about it, so I trimmed my hair. And from TikTok, I also found out I have poor hip and shoulder mobility.
So do I.
Oh man.
Yeah, bro.
Don't
get
go
me started
down.
But
on
yeah,
all
the hair,
TikTok
hair's
rabbit holes.
whatever. But yeah, that's a.
But what I love about it is it's a good reflection of who you are as a person. Where I think you could walk down the street and genuinely be comfortable in your own skin wherever you're at.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that I love about you. And a lot of people, you may not. I mean, maybe Polynesians in general, that's how they feel. But it's not so common in white culture.
Yeah.
The people who just are okay in their own skin. They feel good about
I
it.
feel like I'm just a more. I'm a more vocal Diesel Dave.
You are.
Yeah.
I can
Like
see that.
the vibe is the same.
But no,
I wore jorts here today.
to a certain point, because beyond that point, that's maybe your personality side, but beyond that point, you're much more analytical than he is and much more procedural in your head and the way you do things and you
good
accomplish
words.
tasks. I mean, it's 100% the way that our brains work. We're just wired that way. When people say, "Oh, you're just wired that way," no, legitimately, that's our neurons go left when yours go right.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And ours fire at different speeds and things like that. So it's really cool to learn about your brain. I want to do the, have you guys heard of Dr. Amen's brain imaging?
No.
Dr. Amen is like the world-renowned brain doctor, the guy that knows everything about brains. And the reason why is because he's targeted and figured out what makes each part of the brain work, and it's basically just blood flow. So he's able to go into your brain, they do a full scan of it, and they will get a 3D model of your brain that shows you which areas are rich in blood, which areas are rich in oxygen, which areas are rich in minerals and all the different things, and which areas aren't. And then when you look at the areas that aren't, you can connect those things, you can connect that area to like different parts of your life, whether it's motor skills or depression or anything in between. It's just about blood flow. So he's done this thing where he can basically check out your whole brain and say, yep, we need blood here, we need blood there. And then he has all sorts of different procedures and supplements and medications that you can take to basically get the blood moving around the way that it's supposed to.
When are we going out to do that?
I need to make it happen. I actually got really excited about it like 2 years ago, and then I forgot.
Yeah.
And then
You need that part of your brain to work better.
there's actually somebody else I want to have on the show, and I've already spoken with him. His name's Dr. D, D-E on Instagram. Dude is the best when it comes to like biohacking and like they'll pull a blood panel on you and get like 9,000 different things to monitor or something, some insane level. And then he goes in and like target treats them. Dude's awesome. And I talked to him about being on the show, and he would love to. And then we would basically probably go down to his place in Florida and do our whole panel,
Which would be dope.
so that he could figure out how to optimize us. But like, this is the guy that like
He's the guy.
all the guys go to. Yeah, he's like Jake Paul. Jake Paul like swears by him. People that are high performance people swear by this guy.
Dang.
So we need to check it out.
Yeah, I know.
because it's
You
fun.
in, Lala?
Yeah, I ain't no coward.
There's a lot of people, which this is maybe a 10, 15-year-old trend, the hormone therapy thing.
Yeah.
Came out and told all men that they're low on testosterone. So men went and got checked, right? And a lot of men did have low levels. And the treatment was just, here's testosterone. But, bro, that's just like one ingredient out of 20 that you need to bake the cake. And so a lot of these guys are getting prescribed something thinking it's going to work. But and it does help. Like testosterone's a big game changer for a lot of people. But what if that's only giving you like a 10% boost when if you combined it with these other things, you're going to get that 50, 60, 70% boost.
Yeah.
And it's happening. That's like the technology that's available now. Have you guys seen on Netflix the show about your gut? You should watch it. It's a new one that just came out. I can't remember what it's called.
What do I do? Just type in gut on Netflix?
Yeah. Yeah. Literally the show is called like, what you don't know about your gut or something like that. It's
Dave's always
fascinating.
into like these weird, obscure
Bro, I
things,
am
but they're
so-
super interesting to me. Like every time I hear him talk about something, I'm just like, man.
He goes down a lot of rabbit holes.
And basically, it talks about how your gut microbiome is responsible for like 90% of your overall well-being, including
Oh, yeah.
serotonin,
Energy,
dopamine
everything.
levels, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And it talks about how they've done all these studies for all these years and compiled all this information now. And they studied people with diets. They studied people that different health habits, different supplements, and everything. And what it boiled down to at the end of the episode or at the end of the studies was that ultimately what people need is diversity, biodiversity in their gut. They don't need to be only this or only that or less of this or more of that. They did all their testing and they found out that people were just missing certain bacterias that are required to stimulate certain parts of your body. And so it even talks about doing, have you heard of fecal transplants?
Good Lord.
Bro, you take a piece of your poop, you put it in a vial, swab it up, send it off to this company. They send you back a Zoom meeting, and they go through your whole thing and say, all right, you've got this bacteria, you got that bacteria. This is good, this is bad, this is good. And then it's like, you need, these 10 bacteria you're really deficient in. Your body doesn't have them, so you've basically, your diet has prevented you from allowing this bacteria in your body, and now that colony is dead. But you need that colony for this aspect of your life, whatever that may be. So they can take healthy bacteria from other people's stools, and they put it inside you. And
I didn't do that.
Wow.
yeah, you do it in pills. You can do it in, I think, injections. And bro, it changes people's lives. Like, it's taking people that, like, you should watch the show.
I'm into all this.
Bro,
I'm into
fast.
it.
And the thing about it is, it just makes sense. It's all just science. You need certain things so you can be able to do certain things. And some people's diets and their lifestyles and where they're at just don't give them the things that they need.
Let me ask you something. Can you become lactose intolerant later in life?
Yes.
For sure, it talks about that.
Because I was having the nastiest gas 24 hours a day, just like my family was hating me. And I thought it was my protein powder. So I stopped taking the protein powder, and it was still happening. And Heidi was like, yo, I think it's milk. And I'm like, milk? I love milk, right? And I drink like a couple gallons every couple days. I drink a lot of milk. I stopped, and the gas stopped. So no real science behind it or anything.
No, there is 100% science behind it, because you probably don't have the bacteria necessary to break down lactose. If your digestive tract had that bacteria that you used to have a lot of, which somehow went away, whether it's lifestyle change or whatever, if you get that bacteria back, I'm 95% convinced that people could. It shows people that have that they puke if they even tasted meat. Changed them completely, and they can. But they wanted meat. They actually have a desire for it.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think it's all about just getting the diversity right in your gut biome, and I think that's a game changer. It's something I'm going to do. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Go get the panel and see where I'm missing things. I feel like I've got a pretty healthy one, and I actually, after watching the show, it made a lot more sense why my body does what it does.
Yeah.
My body performs really well
With a lot of things.
but the reason is because, dude, I've
seen
never
you
eat the same thing twice.
You eat a lot of stuff that would just turn a man
Bro,
sour.
it's sauerkraut here, graham crackers here, bunch of
Corn
raw
dogs.
milk in the middle.
And an energy drink.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So I think if you're, I'm going to put that as your checklist item. One, watch that documentary on Netflix about your gut. It's a new one that just came out. Just type in gut. Very, very fascinating and entertaining. It's really well done. And then figure out a way to incorporate. 'Cause I don't want people to go get their test done, because that's a big thing to ask a lot of people, and I think got to get to that point. But start adding 10 new things to your diet. Start eating 10 different new things, whether it's something that you've eaten before but you haven't eaten in a long time or whatever. Add some diversity to your diet and see what happens. Doesn't mean you have to eat more of anything or less of anything. Just try to have more of everything, if that makes sense. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
You got caffeine?
Caffeine pouches.
Oh no. Keep
I've
those
heard-
away.
I've
don't
heard-
give those to me.
Yeah.
Why? What, are you scared?
I don't do
I've
caffeine.
been trying all kinds. I got sleep pouches now that are herbal sleep patches. Sleep like a baby.
See,
They got melatonin in them.
this new Keaton's all careful and health conscious, man. When I first met you, you had one foot on a banana peel and the other in a coffin, man. Now look at you. Look at you.
You
know?
literally picked him up in the gutter.
Oh, dude. Man, I used to the attitude Keaton used to have was like, shit, why walk on ice when you can dance? You know? And now look at him, man. Now look at him. Oh, keep those away from me. Who is this guy, dude?
It's 10 o'clock at night.
No,
what are you
it's
talking
only
about?
with certain things.
Oh, yeah.
Other things he doesn't quite have the ability to say no to yet.
Oh, no, yeah. Dude,
He
man.
goes ham. He goes full hamburger helper, dude.
Full
It is
all the way. And Dave loves to watch
Full
me
white
fall
glove,
off.
huh?
That's not bad, right?
No, yeah. Well, shoot, I'm a little coffee slut, man.
Oh yeah, you
I
like
love,
your caffeine.
yeah, I like caffeine.
Lala, you're a good dude, and you bring really good energy. I think everybody who just comes in contact with you is a lucky person, because you got a lot of you got that overflow reservoir that's just constantly being refilled by something inside you, and we're all beneficiaries of it, and I freaking love it, and that's why we love having you around, and that's why I get so angry when we go so long without seeing each other, because I don't understand why we do that. It doesn't make any sense. But we've had some fun times together. We've had some near deaths together. We've had some close calls.
Are we allowed to talk about it? No.
Probably, yeah. We can talk about it.
I don't know. He's already in trouble with
Were
people.
you there?
Yeah.
You were in the helicopter, right?
No, it was
I
just-
was watching.
It was just me.
Oh, you were the house.
Yeah.
That's right. It
Yeah.
was you and Diesel Dave.
No, yeah, that was a.
We almost died.
You talked about
I don't want
it
to say
on
we almost died.
somebody's-
We were flying over a lake one night in North Carolina in a helicopter in the dark, pitch black, going to land at a cabin.
I think this doesn't really relate to the story at all, but it's important to me that you guys know
Actually, you know
that
what?
this
You tell
this
the story.
helicopter was like, it was built the same year I was born, but it had been. But it. Are we talking? Well,
Tell the whole story. Give it.
all right.
The whole story.
It's one of Lala's better stories.
All right. Well, here we go. We're in North Carolina. We're at Aaron's thing for Rudy's. Well, anyway, we were all over there, and then we basically went from the house that we were staying at. We were going to a lake house for the weekend. Now that all the work was done or whatever, it was like, we're going to the lake house. And then these guys presented me an option, like it's like a part of my lifestyle or something. It's like, hey, the drive's like 50 minutes, but I mean, the helicopter's like 20. And I was like, yeah, these are things that I deal with in my life. He's like, yeah, I'll just go with the helicopter. I've never ridden in a helicopter in my life. So I'm with these guys. So it's Aaron, Heavy D is up front, and it's me and Diesel Dave drinking kava in the back of a helicopter like some of God's boys. So we're sitting back here, and then the first few minutes we're like, oh, start the helicopter up. We're going up into the air, and while we're sitting, we're just hovering 20 feet off the ground, and I knew this was like red flag moment number one. And I said, what are we doing? We're a little heavy. We're just burning off fuel. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I don't know helicopter stuff. That might be normal. That might be normal. So we're sitting there hovering, just pissing off every animal within 100 feet of us. But then eventually we're like, all right, we start flying out to the lake house that we were going to. This is my first time on a helicopter, and it's at nighttime, so you can't see shit. But it was still cool to be on a helicopter. Before we actually leave the warehouses where we were at, our headsets are giving us problems, and Heavy D and Aaron are sitting up in the front cockpit because they're the ones flying it. And I won't bring up that part of it, but these guys were totally, as far as documentation, they were totally good to go to fly. They were totally, on the up and up, and everything was fine for them to fly that and operate that helicopter. Anyways, we were sitting there, and then me and Diesel Dave in the back drinking kava. We got our shoes off. We're hanging out. We're relaxing, and our headsets are they're causing a problem for these two. These two have to communicate. Me and Dave are just in the back. It's not that big of a deal, but he's like, hey, there's sound and there's something going on. Can you unplug or like mute your guys' microphones? But then they could still hear it. So then he just they just told us unplug your headsets altogether. So we unplug our headsets, so we now don't know any conversation that's going on in this helicopter. Me and Diesel Dave don't know about it. So, but it wasn't a big deal. We were just trying to fly there. We're sitting there, we're flying, and me and Diesel Dave are yelling at each other because we're in a helicopter. But anyways, it was an awesome ride. I'd never been in a helicopter before. We're now approaching the place that we're going to. And the only instruction that we got was like, hey, the house next to me isn't even built yet. Just landed on the lawn, like just landed in the grass. And we're like, oh, no big deal. And then, so as we're approaching this little spot, like on grass, on a slight slope or whatever, we're approaching it. And then as we're coming in, we're about to land. And I'm like, well, that's the end of my first helicopter experience. And just as I'm preparing myself to like jump out, we'll go get some food or whatever, we violently start spinning. A gust of wind or something hits us, and we violently start spinning. And while we're spinning, we're also falling. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, just something abrupt happens, and then we're just all of a sudden what once felt like real danger, it was fine. And then we were like, oh, we're gonna fly somewhere else. And keep in mind, they're communicating up front. We have no idea the conversation in the back. And so in my head, this is what's playing out. You know what? I bet we were about to land at the wrong house. And he was like, no, let's get the hell out of here. You know, like, you were just like, let's do a quick 360 and get out of here. That's what I thought. And so, and I'm not. I'm
was
not,
a 720.
I'm not worried. Oh yeah, we were spinning, and so I'm not fully worried at the moment. And then all of a sudden, like I remember we see flashing lights on like a runway, and then that's where we ended up landing. So as we're coming down and we're landing, now we're on solid ground, and I'm like, man, we almost landed in the wrong yard. That's why we, got out of there like that. As the helicopter, everything's starting to quiet down now. The propeller stops spinning. And now I'm starting to hear the murmurings going on in the helicopter. And when finally, everything's now silent, and we're just in the middle of an airstrip in North Carolina. And I hear these guys on their phones, FaceTiming their kids and shit. Like, I love you guys so much. I was like, what? I said, what the hell's happening? What's going on? Bro.
You forgot the most important part.
What part?
Diesel Dave strapping.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that was like, so now here's the recap, right? Here's the recap of what really goes on. The scenario where we're coming down, and I thought, oh, we almost landed on someone else's property, and Heavy D just wanted to be animated and was like, let's get out of here. This is the real conversation going on with me and Diesel Dave are in the back, completely oblivious. We have no headsets on, we have no communication, we don't even hear them talking. But the conversation that's happening in the cockpit, and let me add that it's sprinkled with panic and fear. But basically, a big gust of wind hits us, and the conversation, I think it went something like, oh no, we're all out of left pedal. And I don't know what that means, but I don't want to be in the air without anything. But he said, we're all out of left pedal. And then he said, what do you mean we're spinning? And we're going down? And so remember, we don't hear any of this. These two are up front like, what the fuck do we do? But then
how dare you?
No. But this is the kicker. As this is happening, right? We're falling and spinning. This is when I knew Diesel Dave, the only one God ever made. This is when I knew he was cold-blooded. I was beginning to get panicked because I didn't know what was happening, but tragedy was afoot. And this guy, I look over at Diesel Dave, cool, calm, and collected. All he did was zip up his hoodie and pull his boots back on. Like he was going to jump out of the helicopter. Like that's, when you're friends with Heavy D, these things become accustomed to you. They're like, oh, we confront death every day. But he's literally, I see him zip the sweater up, pull the boots back on, and I just like he was ready to jump out of it or something. But anyways, like, so the story is that this big gust of wind hits us. We start spinning in the same direction as the main propeller up top, which means we're like losing power, we're losing altitude, so we're spinning and falling at the same time.
It's called loss of tail rotor effectiveness and vortex ring state.
I knew that. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. But the funniest thing was that later, this story has matured. A full year later, we go back, our friend that had the helicopter, because now he can acquire he bought I'm not going to get into that part, but he bought himself a brand new helicopter, latest technology, and basically he was telling us, because now he's a good pilot, he's telling us, oh yeah, knowing what I know now, we should have never got on that helicopter. But the thing, this is the miracle, and this is like this is the crazy part of the story, was that in a split second, I'm not sure what, maybe you could, jump in and help me, but like in a split second, there was like a small combination of things that you had to do to completely save the day, and Heavy D, literally, the conversation, Aaron in a panic, oh no, we're going down. He was talking about his son's like inheritance and shit. Like he thought it was over. And then all he said was, he's like, I got it. I got it. That's how he said it. He said, I got it. But basically in a split second he does, up, down, left, right, X circle. Like he does this cheat code, and we get out of it scot free. And then I was like, and we're next to a lake. I was like, bro, this helicopter was about to be our tomb.
Surrounded by trees.
Yeah,
in a really tight landing zone.
Yeah, the newspaper would have been like, these 3 dudes and their manservant died in the helicopter, or some shit. But no, so what did happen? Like what?
So we were flying into the approach there. It was dark. It was windy. It was not an area that we should have been in.
And you were like,
But
I'm in it.
But
I'm doing it.
I felt comfortable being able to get in there. I knew that I could do it. I don't take unnecessary risks when it comes to flying. So we flew in there, and we went to turn into the landing zone, and it's really dark. So I'm trying to get the spotlights on the actual landing zone so I can see where we're landing, because we're surrounded by trees that are like 50-foot pines. And we turned the tail into the wind, and the Long Ranger is notorious for losing tail rotor authority, and instantly within a second just spinning. I'm on the controls. My friend who was flying, young, nervous pilot, kind of was following along on the controls with me as I was doing it. It was also his new helicopter, his baby. When shit hit the fan, he gripped up on the controls like super tight, like white knuckle, and just was accentuating the spin even worse. He did all the things you're not supposed to do. And so I took my fist and bonked him on the chest. I was like, Rudy, I got it. And he like woke up from a bad dream and like sat back and like started to breathe a little bit. And I got it. I dove for airspeed and got us out of there barely. But it was one of those things where, you have to have the
balls
reactions.
of steel. Like
You can't think.
Yeah.
You can't think. You just have to be able to just know what to do. That's
Which
why
is your
helicopter training.
specialty. Not thinking.
It's true. I specialize it in every aspect of my life. And what's crazy is the older I get, the more I'm learning to think a little bit and then do. Guess what? That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Slow down just a little bit, just enough to take in the situation and assess it, dissect it, boom, then make a decision rather than knee-jerk reaction.
And this was a split second. Like I'm talking that entire ordeal of spinning and falling at the same time, it couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. Like, but it was the longest 5 seconds
It was the
of my
most.
life.
It was the closest I've ever been to crashing a helicopter by a long shot, and it was a very like YouTube helicopter spinning over lake, and the worst video there is probably us, except for we didn't crash. Yeah. It was a
at
pretty aggressive
nighttime, so
spin.
nobody would have seen it.
No.
Yeah, that one was wild.
Yeah.
And this is just a part of that of the story that I just make up just for fun. It's a complete embellishment. It definitely didn't happen in reality, but if there was like a check engine light for a helicopter, and this is a light that would basically represent that something bad had happened in this helicopter. If this was like obviously, like I said, this didn't really happen. I just like to tell people this because it's funny. But there's this light that goes on, somewhat of like a check engine light. Like if something crazy happens in this helicopter, the helicopter police are like, y'all boys is done. This light is on. And it'd be so funny, I thought, that when I tell people this story, how funny would it be if I just told them, instead of getting the light fixed or serviced, why don't we just pop the top off and take the bulb out? But that didn't really happen. That's the best part of the story, is that never happened. But I just like to tell people that, and it's just I feel like it's a
That's a fun bonus edition.
Yeah,
That's like when
that
we buy the
was just
DVD
like
and Blu-ray.
yeah. That was
extra.
just kind of like some creative liberties that I like to give with that story. But yeah, us.
That's one of my favorite stories. A very memorable moment. I'm sorry, I'm eating chocolate, but it's a very memorable moment for all of us, and it was an opportunity for us to bond, right?
Trauma bond, man.
Yeah.
Shared suffering. We're endeared to each other now.
About share a coffin.
Yeah.
It was a close call.
Yeah.
I haven't had many close calls, but that was a really close call. Most of my aviation stuff I approach with, you guys have seen me. I'm aggressive, but I'm very calculated. Am I not?
I would say you're very calculated.
I'm pretty safe. And when a guy that's pretty dangerous says that was one of the worst, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
When you flew to Costa Rica, I never had a will, but I made my will before we flew down there.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Well,
just in case.
What was the one that you flew home backwards in a helicopter or something?
Flew home backwards.
Oh,
That's what I heard.
That never happened.
Oh.
I don't like to ride anywhere in a helicopter unless it's the front seat. I'm not big on being a passenger.
No.
It's not something I'm really good at.
No.
But that's why I'm a great pilot.
Yeah.
Right? Because
One of the best.
I focus on my craft and I like to perfect it. Lala, you're just a good dude. You're good energy. We love you. Honestly, this is all I expected out of tonight. I got everything I
We
wanted.
were all supposed to go home a long time
I got
ago. but-
everything I wanted and then some, because ultimately it's just you being able to share your energy with people. In person, it's like huge, it's wild, but I'm sure you can even hear it over, the speakers and through audio and video and stuff like that, because you just have this thing about you that I love and don't ever lose it. And keep
Massive
on-
checklist item though too.
Stay golden, pony
solve
boy.
the riddle and stay golden.
Yeah.
Now solve the riddle. Find
The positivity.
The positivity in every situation. I thought that was huge.
Positivity's mandatory, man. You'll
Checklist
find
items.
it.
Number 1 is solve the riddle. Number 2 is stay golden. No, you know what? I'm going to save that for last. Solve the riddle. Add new things to your diet. Try 10 different things that you can incorporate. And you can't just eat them once. You got to eat them like 6 weeks to see if it makes a difference. Okay? And then stay golden. And by that we mean just live like Lala. Bro, when you die, there's going to be so many inspirational sayings about you. It's going to be ridiculous.
Or like illegitimate kids and
That too.
Weird
There's
things,
going to be look. I didn't say there wasn't going to be a wake of destruction, but there's also going to be a wake of joy. All right. So thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you, and we'll try to get back here as soon as we possibly can.